What up, everybody, and welcome to what is our last conversation for the calendar year 2022. And we'll see
Man,
what God has in store for 2023. It's the third Friday in December, and we are here with water for the thirsty, for the word simply, the word refreshing, where we chop it up about the word simply that we've been reading in the week through our Bible reading plan. That takes us through the entire Bible in a year. So we are about to close out. What's not now can recall eighth reading of the Bible all the way through. If
it is. Is it eight? Or yeah,
this will be it.
I
Well,
guess it's eight.
7.5, 8.
7.5. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're on season 9, which has been our ninth year. So yeah, it'll be about 8, at least 8. Next year will be 9.
Next year will be 9. So
Yeah,
what?
we
So
started in
it's what, August, right?
August of
So
2014.
yeah. So we would have got like half of that one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So we're
Let's
I guess
call
we're
it,
at 8.
yeah, 8, at
Yeah.
least 8,
I guess
seven
we're
and a
at 8.
half at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fun stuff, man. So as we've come to the end of another year, we have to do some reflections. I want to do my reflection in the form of a question. Before I get to my question, I wanna ping Courtney for his, um, and then we'll do mine afterward. Like I saw Courtney, he came with his pen and his notes.
Dude's always got the pen and the note.
So I was like,
Hey
yeah,
man,
He
when I
always got
first
a he always got a written.
hey man, that's how you gotta jog the brain. I'm getting a little older, so you gotta that's how it stays there.
Says the
word,
dude that's like 20, 25.
I mean, I'll take that. I'll take it.
All right, Courtney, what you got for me?
All right, man. I got a question. I guess a general observation from reading Job this week, and didn't have to go that far into the chapter. Just simply saying in description of Job says he was perfect and upright and walked wisely before the Lord. So essentially, as you go through the book, we can see that he was. It was not that he was sinless, but he had this consistent spiritual walk. And I was just wondering to myself, what does a consistent spiritual walk look like? And how is that modeled in the Bible anywhere in particular, or is it something that we can, you know, just discuss tonight?
Mm. Can you take us to the verse in Job where you are, where that question came out?
Right. Um,
Should have
oh,
been verse
verse
chapter
1
1,
1.
right?
Yeah, chapter 1, verse 1.
Verse 1. Because there was a word when I read it that I made a note of. I'm trying to think. Um, Change my version and see if it pops up in the other version.
You know, it's interesting, Courtney.
What's
That
up?
word blameless
Mm,
is also used of Noah in Genesis 6:9.
okay, so we got Noah as somebody else to point to.
Yeah, same thing. He was righteous and blameless among the people of his time. So that might be on a curve there.
Graded on a curve. Okay.
It might be relative. And when I say relative, relative to what else is going on.
Hmm.
Uh, and may not be an absolute. And that's just my first thought that's coming up. I'm not, saying anything for
But
sure.
there were
But
like a lot of different things that were offered about Job in this, right?
yes.
I mean, you can go
Mhm.
down. It was like, I think it was further down It said something about where is it? Where it is? Like he was the best. It wasn't even like just blameless. Like he was like the best of anybody that walked the face of the earth.
That
Maybe that was
was
in chapter. Maybe that was in chapter 2.
verse 8.
Yeah.
No one like him on earth. Yeah. There is none like. Never mind.
So that first
That was
word
about
there.
Jesus, not Job.
So that first word there, Courtney,
Yeah.
blameless,
Uh-huh.
is actually a word that is also translated perfect, but more like complete or sound. It's morally innocent, having integrity.
I
I could see the complete and sound even if you're not perfect or sinless, right? I could see
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's a word called Tom.
ain't gonna front, dog. Like I don't know if I want that much pressure.
I think perfect in terms of completeness, not perfect in terms of without flaw.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the greatest of anything walking the earth.
Why not? Because then the demands of you, the expectations.
I mean,
Or you could be singled out to be put to the
air
top.
the rest of the chapter, second, third, fourth, fifth, like
Target.
Become target practice.
Oh, absolutely.
What up, Lorraine?
Dang, she got the cliff picks in the back.
Yeah, man.
I was like, dang.
Yeah, man. There we go.
What's up,
Oh
Lorraine?
gosh. What's up?
And I think there were additional descriptors there. So first is complete. He was complete. It actually goes on to here, one who lacks nothing in physical strength, beauty, etc. It also says sound and wholesome, an ordinary, quiet sort of person, complete, morally innocent, having integrity, one who is morally and ethically pure. So that's blameless, or perfect, and upright. Upright is straight, as in standing up straight, level, correct, right. Right, pleasing, correct, straightforward, just, upright, fitting, proper, uprightness. So standing upright, not leaning or tottering to the side.
Okay.
Straight up. So that's
All
what that means. And then it's fear God and shun the evil.
Right. Right. And that word, I guess I see excused. Like, to avoid evil,
Yeah.
turn aside, put away.
So what is that? I don't avoid evil. I'm assuming I don't avoid evil.
It's like, these are my confessions.
watch this. Watch this. See, that's my point. That's right there. Like that's exactly.
So my version has to turn aside, to depart,
Okay.
to be removed, to come to an end. To turn aside, to remove, to depart, to depose, to put aside, to be taken away. So it's I guess an avoidance, a deliberate avoidance.
A deliberate avoidance.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah, that's what it would suggest.
like there's certain things that I will 100% avoid, right? But I think that's for me. There's a curve. Like there's some things that are just like I don't know if I'm going to avoid it.
Right.
Job was trying to avoid things,
Yes.
but then Job didn't have no TV. So
Was that again?
Job didn't
Yeah.
have a TV.
No Wi-Fi, nothing.
He had internet. He didn't have Facebook. He didn't have YouTube. It was easy to avoid evil. I mean, if you have a farm, I mean, how much evil you could get into if you live
Yeah,
in
but he had
Miami.
money though. So where there's
But
money,
he had,
there's
but he
gonna
had
be
money and
temptation,
access,
right?
and he had all kinds of different.
But his money was cows and cattle and things. So his money is work every day. And if you're busy trying to mine your money, how much evil you could get into, right?
I guess.
And
That's
I'm
actually
asking, is
no.
it
It's
easier?
it makes sense.
Is it easier to get into evil, to avoid evil then than it is now? That's really what I'm asking. Or is it about
I
the
would
same?
assume that
Okay, all
whatever,
human.
but the equivalent of whatever was easy to them then, he had access to, like whatever that was.
Yeah.
Right. If it was, I don't know what that would be.
Maybe not being courteous or a good host. Maybe not being generous.
Correct.
I got you. Yeah, that's a good question. I would lean towards, I mean, because I'm biased. Obviously, I think it's harder now, but then at the same time, he had to sit there and make sacrifices for his kids regularly. Like, what was going on in these feasts that they was throwing down in the house?
You don't know. He wasn't over there. He was avoiding evil. He didn't go back.
Exactly.
But
So
he
you
knew
don't
his
know.
seed. He said, "Nah, we just pray over them."
Well, he knew something was going on.
Yeah,
Probably was getting the reports.
yeah.
There's always a snitch.
So it was something, but yeah.
No, that's one of the things I was asking about as it related to the kids specifically. I'll ask that after we're done with this, but I want to make sure we get Courtney's stuff straight.
So, Courtney, the question is there any example of that in the scriptures?
Yeah, I mean, because I think I'll lean towards what Kendrick was saying, and I think it will lead into your question later on too, that pressure of being consistent that way the entire time, like the entire way, like what?
I don't think there was anybody in the Bible who was successful in the scripture all the way, except Jesus. To be frank, I think any character you pull wasn't consistent across the board.
But but there were some pretty consistent dudes.
Consistent in
as
that
much as you can see.
Yeah, well, I would say yes, consistent in that they had seasons of consistency, whether they be in the beginning or at the end of their, but they had seasons of consistency. Yes, there were people like that.
And I guess we only get highlights.
Correct.
And
highlights to tell a specific story, not even just general highlights.
Correct.
Like
Yeah.
It was, here's the narrative around this circumstance, and here's a story to support that narrative, and so
for this particular reason.
Yeah. So what do you feel, Courtney? Do we scratch the surface, or you got
I think so.
Good idea of what Job was like?
Yeah.
What that means?
Yeah.
I think part of it too, Courtney, to be fair, comes in the conversation that happens with God and the adversary afterwards.
Okay.
I think they help to reveal not just their conversation, but what Satan does afterwards helps to reveal what this chapter with the writer and God through the writer through God's language seem to be pointing out about Job.
Okay.
That Job's regard for God was guiding his actions.
Okay.
And Satan was like, yeah, because he's rich. Take away all that he has and see if his regard for you will guide his actions.
Yeah.
But I guess because he's complete and well-rounded, it wasn't based on that. Is it that what God views as blameless are those people who put their relationship with Him above everything else and focus on maintaining that relationship, so that even if they stumble into David, into whoever, Moses, Noah, whoever else, they always return due north because of that relationship. So it's less about what you do and don't do,
Absolutely.
and more just about that consistent, maintaining that consistent. What is it? What they say, pray without ceasing. You constantly have that flow.
Posture.
It's the yeah. I was gonna say it's the posture, it's the submissiveness, it's the position of where God is. I think somebody says like that true north, right? It's I think it's that position that they place him in,
Because
and then
even when you see
interact with
people
him from
stray,
that.
even when you see that there are people who started off with that posture, like Saul in the Old Testament, um, and then when he got filled with pride, so,
I never
Saul
thought
and
of
David
I never
had
thought of
different issues.
Saul.
David repented, just like Judas and Peter aren't that different. It's just that Peter repented. Peter went back true north, right?
I never thought of Saul being truly submissive, even early on. It just
Mm.
it was
Well,
just
I would say, Kenrick, while that is potentially true, the conversation that Samuel has with God about Saul's successor suggests otherwise,
that he
right?
was.
Well, yeah, because the chapters suggest clearly that Saul was God's choice. And
Sure.
when Samuel was choosing David, well, Samuel was sent to anoint David. Samuel had the conversation with God, you know, what about this one and that one and that one? And he's like, I don't choose the way you choose. I'm not looking at the man, I'm looking at the man's heart. So if God is saying that is his criteria for choosing and he chose Saul, then it stands to reason
Yep.
that if God chose Saul, he chose him by the same criteria. But that's more of an inference reading in backwards. There's
Sure.
no clear there's no that said the Lord that that's why how or why Saul got chosen, except that
Yeah.
Saul was God's choice. That's all that we know.
Maybe you're both right.
And
Uh,
Jerry, it says that Saul was a changed man um, after he was anointed. Let me see if I could find that. But when Samuel first anointed him, well, go ahead, Jerry.
I was just thinking, you kind of throw a spoke in the wheels there, but for the change man part. But I was just thinking you could both be right, because to Kenrick's point, it always seemed, I mean, just reading it on the surface, like Saul really struggled with that submission. So whereas you see, like, even David, when he's accustomed for his wrongdoing, and I hate to keep picking on David, but he adopts this submissive posture. It's like he returns to the posture he had before he got too excited or got ahead of himself. But for Saul and some of the others, it seems like, yeah, that was just. So it makes you wonder, is that a struggle they really ever won, or is it just they were in that battle of being submissive and not submissive so much? It's like they were just facilitating back and forth,
And
double-minded and unstable in their ways, kind of thing, right?
maybe it's, I mean, it's just like maybe it was just more difficult for Saul to be submissive, based upon personality, based upon, whatever, as opposed to maybe it's just easier for David. And and in David's submissiveness and his posture before God just gave, maybe just felt much more freedom. And he was like, I am who I am.
Well, I don't know Kenrick because you also have Adam and Eve. You have Jeroboam, and it's particularly Jeroboam for me. When you think of Saul, David, Jeroboam, you have God doing the choosing in each one of those cases. and God giving the same, I'm putting you here. If you're faithful, I will. And before Jeroboam, ink was dry. He was like, well, then people will never come up here by me, so maybe I need to do something to, and he went and did the exact same thing that God removed, David's son for, so I don't think that it was more easy or more hard for one or the other. I think one of the things that David had that is like Job was that his might have been more complete, more mature, because of the time in the field as a shepherd.
He started younger. Yeah.
Well, not
and
just
the relationship,
that.
And the
Yeah,
relationship
he had that.
shepherding.
He had that relationship that had been forming from.
Correct.
And he had this kind of dynamic with God, the lion and the bear thing, and then
correct.
And by the time he became king, he had been wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, whereas Saul had just kind of, selected off the shelf, and so did Jeroboam. So theirs might have been, but may not have had the same kind of completeness.
Yeah, I guess, and maybe that's what it is. I think maybe that's what the maturing of David. And the other thing is, like, we saw the maturing of David.
David had an opportunity to mature.
We had a whole, we saw him run. You saw the whole run, right? From, to the Goliath to, going back and getting anointed, and then all the drama that went after that. All the you saw it, as opposed to your point, everybody else, we kind of just saw the selection and whatever happened after that,
right,
within particular context.
So when I was talking about Saul getting changed, it's mentioned twice in 1 Samuel chapter 10. Samuel prophesies it. Chapter 10, Samuel tells Saul, verse 5. After that, you will go to 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 5. After that, you'll go to Gibeah of God, where there's a Philistine outpost. As you approach the town, you'll meet a procession of prophets coming down from the high place. So this is Samuel to Saul, with lyres, timbrels, pipes, harps, and being played before them, and they will be prophesying. The Spirit of the Lord will come powerfully upon you, and you will prophesy with them, and you'll be changed into a different person. Once these signs are fulfilled, do whatever your hand finds to do, for God is with you. Go down ahead of me to Gilgal. I will surely come to meet you to sacrifice burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. But you must wait 7 days until I come and tell you what you are to do. As Saul turned to leave Samuel, God changed Saul's heart, and all these signs were fulfilled that day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's consistency in his selection process. So
I got the opposite.
Well,
he changed this dude. Like, this dude wasn't.
Yeah.
He
but
wasn't
he
that dude.
He knew that he could be. So he did change him. And it might be, because my note says, God changed his heart. Again, not necessarily a sign of conversion. It's simply that God might have given Saul a new heart for being king and delivering from the Philistines. And with regard to the first reference, this is likely not a statement regarding Saul's salvation. Rather, God had invested Saul with power to lead Israel mightily as a king.
Okay.
Yeah. Because what you saw is that when he called for Saul, Saul was in the back hiding.
Correct.
So he might have been, I wouldn't say maybe timid or apprehensive.
I guess that's why I was saying, like, it was probably, once again, you got the benefit, but David just seemed like a natural leader.
After how many years?
Well, yeah. It was.
That's the same thing I was thinking. It's like what happened with Moses as well, right? They had to go marinate.
Moses.
Yeah, Okay,
Moses
but
had a 40
run
years.
the,
So
run
what
the
kind of
timeline. Run
100
the
years
timeline
was
for
it building
David.
the ark or however? So it's like all of these great men, there was time to be groomed and pruned, and it wasn't just like a so that
Cor-
when whatever adversity and so on hit, they were better prepared, better equipped for it.
Yes, but I guess for Saul, he had to jump right into it. It had to be a boom, right? What you saw.
Yeah.
So how old was David when he fought Goliath? Like 4?
So according to one of the, I did a quick Google search. It's about 15 years between the time David was anointed and the time he became king.
Yeah.
All right. And I think he became king at like 40, right?
He
Yeah.
became 30. He was king at 30 years old. Hold on. How old was David when he became king?
Because if it's
He
30,
was
then
30 years old when he became king. Second
he was how
Samuel,
old?
30.
All right, so he was 15 when he fought, when he got anointed.
Yeah, it was probably about 15.
That's my. I mean, that's my thing. So he's
Yeah.
like
He's a
According to
kid.
this,
he's a
between 16
kid.
and 19 years old. He was
He's
under
a
20.
kid that he's a kid that out there because it was the killing. Like it was all of that like gave him the confidence, in not only in his ability but in God, right? To where he had the confidence to go around grown men and hear Goliath talking trash, right? And the confidence be like, I got it, guys. Like me and God, we'll do. Like you can't let this dude. Like no normal kid does that, right?
True.
Especially in that day of time because it's a pecking order. And so, especially because his brothers, he's taking food to his brother. Like, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, there was just this natural ability that 100% is born by, was cultivated and matured while he was out there. But it was a much different kind of temperament and and um, and confidence than you saw with Moses, than you saw with Saul, than you saw with all these other guys.
Yeah.
Is that part of the? Because I was just thinking, you saw the same thing with Joseph. How Joseph went from just being kind of like a spoiled brat to. So maybe the lesson there for all of us is the importance of the process and not skipping the process, not short circuiting it, not trying to jump in and being so focused on the destination. The process is what prepares us for the palace, right?
Correct.
So that whatever, because we assume the palace.
Or whatever that palace is.
Yeah, but whatever good comes to the palace, there's always a flip side, right?
Yes.
There's a backside to every blessing. So there's always stuff, trial, adversity, temptation that comes to the palace that you weren't experiencing before. And that process is what prepares. I feel like that's a sermon. Anyway, that process is what prepares you.
I think it was already a book. It's called The Hood to the Hill. Isn't that?
It is? Don't you to the hill? Oh, but then everything in society now tells you just the process.
You didn't catch it, Sarah. You didn't catch it.
Yeah.
So there is a book called The Hood to the Hill. It's by by the guy who serves as the chaplain of the U.S.
It's
Senate.
very black.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the name of his biography.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Um,
But we also see it with Abraham. Abraham,
And what is it?
Abraham was 25 years in the making.
Jacob?
And Jacob. He was 20 years in the making. So
Even to some degree, you see, you hear about Jesus when he's 12, and then the next time is when he's 30, right?
Yeah, he doesn't start his ministry till he was 30. Yeah, which is about the same age that David became king. Yeah.
but you saw what was about to happen because he was busting chops in the synagogue.
Right. Again, he was, as we talked about with Job, complete by the time he came to 30. He was complete. He was perfect. He was mature. So, Kendrick, one of the things we had said in a session before that I just want to resurface here is you kind of get to know the sense of the person's posture in how they respond to instruction, whether it's corrective instruction or whether they how they respond to instruction, whether it be corrective instruction or just instruction. How we respond to that kind of indicates our posture. And I think that is a statement of the completeness. Where you see David, like when he had God's instructions, he did his best to try and follow it. But then when he strayed away, he was responsive to the correction. Whereas with Saul, he didn't fully obey, and then when he was corrected, he didn't fully respond. And
Correct.
That makes David blameless. That makes Abraham blameless because he responded to the instruction to move. It says he moved by faith and he was credited with righteousness.
So it's not, and I guess you see that without jumping ahead, but you see that with Job.
Right. And you see it in the dialogue with God and Satan. Because the question isn't, is Job doing everything right? Right? It was a question of, is Job faithful to me? Right?
Correct.
And Satan is saying, yeah, he's only faithful to you because. He's only doing what you ask him to do because. But if you take everything that you have, watch what he will do. He will be selfish and, try to defend, protect, himself.
But here's my thing, though. I mean, surely Satan realized the extent of the relationship Job had with God. He may not overhear all their conversations, but if he sees Job getting up, well, just hear me out. If he sees Job getting up at 4 every morning and he knows he's praying and whatnot, and he's looking at his lifestyle, I mean, it's like you should realize this guy is serious about the relationship and not just the benefits that come from the relationship.
Well, Satan definitely had a different perspective. He really thought that the relationship was being influenced by the circumstance. That was his argument.
Yeah, but it's just like...
Because that's what he said. Does Job fear God for nothing?
Yeah.
Is it, is he doing it just because? Or is it because, is he fearing you because, well, you're giving him all that stuff?
Yeah.
Naturally, he would fear you. He has incentive. You want to stuff.
And then Job drops the mic and says, though he slay me, yet will I serve him, right? And it's like, okay.
and then God's like, here you go. Here's another one.
But here's the thing, though.
And another one.
Right? But then when he got sick, right? Job would have careened in the direction that Satan was suggesting that he would have gone in had God not shown up. Like as we read, because I know we're jumping ahead in the story, but we read it before. Yeah. When God intervenes, Job is about to jump off the cliff and do exactly what Satan said he would have done, all right?
No, that's true. I never thought about it, but yeah, as you see it play out, huh?
I said, but there goes the relationship. So it's not just about the role that Job is playing in the relationship, but God is also playing his role in the relationship and shows up. Yeah. And it's like, let me protect you from yourself.
It's the interesting way that God does it, right? He doesn't relieve him from the circumstance. He doesn't show up and rescue him and say, "Oh, come." He shows up and say, "Boy, but you know me."
Yeah.
But you know me.
You know me, homie.
You don't know about me. You know it's me. Yeah. It's interesting that that's the way God shows up, and that's when Job,
that posture of humility, he kind of like, oh, okay.
He regained, exactly. He regained the posture of humility. He almost lost it. Yeah. And he regained it without his circumstance changing.
Yep.
Wow.
So none of the unfallen planets could sit back and say, "Oh well, yeah, he really was serving God because God came and bailed him out."
Yeah,
And
because God
stop
did
making
bail him
this.
out.
He
And
did bail him
bless
out.
him,
Yeah.
bailed him out. As a matter of fact, I reprimanded him, and he was like, "Yeah, okay." Wow.
Yeah, that's what you get for being the best, Kendrick.
I know.
You get to be chosen.
Well,
to be selected
I don't know.
for the
but
experiment.
Representative warfare, man.
Hopefully, like I said, I don't know if I want that life. That's a hard life.
Okay. You feel like you have enough problems. You don't need that. Yeah, you don't need that tacked on, right?
You just don't want to be. I don't know if you. I'm not a spotlight guy, so I'd rather sit back and, you know.
After watching these guys here, I am very good at
I
being
mean,
a spotlight guy.
I like David. I like David's
the
spotlight
exit.
to a certain extent. That was a fun spotlight. Joe's
Was it?
spotlight. No. Huh?
Was it? Was it?
Oh man, David lived a life. Like, you do all of that and you win? Nah, that's.
But it cost him his family. Yeah, come on, man.
Was that again?
It cost him his family. So
Yeah, but he won.
What was that when
He
you're going to heaven?
he still
right?
won. That's on them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the interesting thing. It cost him his family, but the way the Bible appears to read, that was on them.
yeah.
I argue as one of the things I wanted to mention when we were, as one of my things, like, I argue with my mom. You know, there are times that my mom is like, we were talking. My mom thinks I'm going to hell, but but we were talking the other day, and she's like, I'm praying for you, Kenrick. I was like, and she was like, do you think I did everything? Do you think? And I was like, Ma, I'll be honest with you, like, there's nothing else you could do. Like, there's nothing else. Like, whatever I do now, or I've been doing for the past 20 years, doesn't fall on you. I promise you. Right? If I don't make it, like, this isn't you, good and faithful. Like, you did it. You did what you could. And I was like, so many parents carry that burden. I get it, right? But it's kind of like, I mean, I've made my decisions. Like, I knew the decisions I was making. You try to, you taught me, you instructed me, you trained me, Proverbs. Like, you've done all of those things. And you continue to pray, but, like, this is not on you.
What do you do then with God's challenge to Eli when his grown sons were acting up?
That's on them. But well, it was on. It was on. No. So it was only on Eli at the time, because Eli, during their training, didn't do what he was supposed to do.
Right.
Okay.
But your mom having done all that she was supposed to, then it's on you.
And it's on me. And by God's grace, I'll do the same thing with my girls, and my speech will be a little different than my mom's. Be like, yo, this is all you. I can't, like, I'll pray, we'll converse, we'll talk, we'll do all that. But I can't. Whatever. Yeah, I can't, but I cannot. Like, it's, you're responsible for this relationship. You have to be. I can't be submissive for you.
Yeah.
And you, so one of the things I was looking at when I was reading, that first chapter was kind of going back to like, these kids, man. Like, everybody, for the most part, right? Not an absolutes and nevers and all that, but everybody's kids sucked. Like, Samuel's kids sucked.
Yes.
Like, this Bama saw Eli's mess.
And his kids wasn't any better.
And it didn't work any better.
He wasn't any better a parent, no.
No. And
neither was Abraham.
go down the list.
Abraham put his son out and with a thing of water and sent him in the wilderness.
Yeah, an angel had to go feed him. Wow.
Look at Jacob's kids. Like you just go through.
Moses left his family
So,
to wander
so
in the
the-
wilderness for 40 years and still didn't make it to the promised land
Yeah.
because his wife and children went back to live with the father.
Correct. Like it's just none of these, and I'm just like, and you see it with Job. Job is faithful. He's upright. He avoids evil and all this, and his kids. I would, you can probably guess to say that all the events and all the stuff that they were throwing because he had to offer sacrifice or he chose to do, like they didn't have the same relationship.
Because when the kids having a party when they died, when the whatever came and hit the house, so
they were all there.
Big brother's house, yeah.
Yeah, they were chilling, getting wasted, and
yeah. So it's like
They were drinking wine, yes.
none of these, no one's kids have a good relationship.
So Mr. Batman says God specifically told Eli to handle his kids and he ignored him. He knew they were blasphemous.
yeah, because they were sleeping with the
Lots
temple
of bad
prostitutes, all
parents in
sorts
the
of
Bible.
craziness, right? In the Holy of Holies.
They were stealing the food and thing and taking the best pieces.
Yeah, I mean, go through it. Aaron's kids.
Yeah,
they were getting it in. I mean, it's just like no one has good kids.
Yeah, I mean, the first kids.
Look at like Adam and Eve.
Yeah,
like,
that's what started, right?
That Bama killed his brother. Like no one, kids, dude. so,
I'm sure Adam and Eve were probably like the kids they said it would be
Good
fun.
I'm trying to figure
good
out
parenting examples in the Bible. What you're saying to me?
find one.
But that doesn't encourage. That's not encouraging.
Well, I would even say, look at God. What kind of parent was God? All his children, all of them.
All.
But the favorite,
but one.
The favorite,
all but one.
All but one.
But that one was like, I'm not having kids.
that one didn't have any children.
He said he didn't have kids. It was like, I ain't bringing nobody to mess this up. Because then it changed the whole narrative. Be like, Jesus kids can't even. Nah.
And blasphemous, and they were instructed to dismiss them. Yeah, that's for Eli's kids.
So it's just like I was just like, it's hard to have kids. The expectations are very low that your kids are gonna actually, no matter how faithful you are.
I mean, God was completely faithful. And then he brought out of Egypt was wild.
So
God was completely faithful. Adam and Eve were brought up in a perfect home. They didn't have no issues.
Zero.
And they still decided, yeah, we'll.
And they were wild. And God's dissension started in heaven, where he lived in his house.
Yeah.
A third of the people who he was responsible for.
Bounce.
Is that a reflection of his parenting?
Was that again?
Is that a reflection of his parenting?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
I think it's all a reflection of parenting, right? And I mean and I'm not saying bad or good or whatever. I mean it's a reflection of what he was like at the end of the day. Like, these are my rules, but part of parenting is like you have a decision, you have a choice, right? This is what it is, right? And I think most good parents lay out the choices. They instruct. They try to make sure that they're giving every possible way an opportunity. But at some point, you made a choice.
Yep, it's on you.
And so 100% them leaving or being kicked out the big fight, the war, right? That's all a reflection of his parenting. Absolutely.
So it's allowing your child to
Reflection
do.
meaning it wasn't bad parenting necessarily,
It wasn't. Yeah. Just like
but it was a reflection of his parenting style
yes,
to give choice, to instruct and give choices.
or his parenting. Like part of
Yeah,
his
okay.
parenting was to
give
instruct,
choices.
to give
Got it.
choice,
I got
but
it.
also to set boundaries for them. Like, you know, this doesn't happen.
Got it.
This can't abide here.
Got
So
it.
you have a choice. I love you, but y'all Bama's got a choice. All of y'all, if you want to stay, you got to abide by the rules. We've talked about this over and over again. If you want to leave, you got to go. I mean, if you don't want to abide by the rules, you got to go.
Correct.
Like, that's all part of the parenting.
Yeah, I got
Man,
it.
that's
the
tough
process.
though. Isn't love like just talking about this agape love God is essentially displaying? How can it be without giving choice?
Mhm.
How can it be without giving choice?
Like it wouldn't be
It wouldn't
what
be
it
love.
is if you didn't allow for choice.
But
So like parents that micromanage. Are you talking about like parents that micromanage their children? Like they're trying to control every decision and choice they make versus, hey, like you taught them, now you have to release them to remember the training, remember what you taught them.
True, true freedom, and then I think we had this, you know, kind of portion of this conversation. You know, as I look at it, true freedom is I try to give my girls, you know, right now we're training. They're 15 and 12. We talk, we go through the process, right? But true freedom is allowing them to make their decision. And the true freedom is you not really having control over what they do. Like you do all you can. Doesn't mean the agape love doesn't mean you stop loving them, right? It doesn't mean that, you know, there's nothing that my girls can do for me to stop loving them, right? But me loving them doesn't mean that you're gonna necessarily stay here and just outright disrespect me, right? And the rules and the boundaries and the safeties that I've put in place. If you violate those, then you have to leave. Still love you, but part of that's the freedom, right? You got, God gives us, and I think that's what God does. He gives everyone the freedom, and that's what the true freedom is. I mean, you can choose to be his slave, or you can choose not to be and fall outside of it, but there are consequences, and he'll let you go. And I think when
Isn't that sometimes what we try to do as parents, though? Because we love them, we try to spare them from the consequences of their own choices, which is part of the problem because they don't ever really learn because they never really suffer a consequence.
And God does the same thing with us at times, right?
Oh yeah.
And then that sometimes we
He
gotta,
lets you, he
like, you just
chastises
gotta
you in
learn.
measure, he says, right? So it's like you need a little.
Well, each child is different.
Yeah.
Some children need to feel
A lot more than a little.
Some people need to feel to hear, and some people just need to hear to hear. And so I think he customizes according to which kind of child you are. You know?
And then
and you
to feel
and
just
you laid
enough.
that out with the three when you even contrasted Balaam, Saul, and David. Like that's, you know, all of them are his children, and he treated them differently based upon their personality, their relationship with them. And you see it consistently throughout the Bible on how he communicates and disciplines. And some people get a shorter leash because there was probably a little bit more time spent than you should have known. The other people that got maybe a little longer leash. I mean, it's just, but it's his prerogative. But he gives us freedom.
So I'm gonna pull in this comment. The children of Israel married pagans, and God said, "Get rid of your spouses and children." So I remember this story, and they decided among themselves that that is what they were going to handle the situation. God didn't actually say. They did do that, in an attempt to be faithful to God or reconcile, God didn't actually give.
Oh yeah, that was like
I remember. Yeah.
Nehemiah.
So, yeah.
Yo, kids, man. Kids are.
Nah, I mean, I think that thought for me came from listening to that series from Pastor Henry Wright on that love series, and that's why I was like, all right, initiating the relationship with God is by showing that obedience, but it's like a willingness to want to obey it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a willingness. And as Satan says, does Job do it willingly for nothing?
Yeah.
Does he do it willingly
Like,
for nothing?
he's getting paid, right?
Yo, I actually enjoyed that conversation between them two.
Between who and what? Between God and
God and Satan. Yeah, like it was very insightful. The other thing that I took out of it was that all these Bamas that died in the process, like, they're just playing with lives, dog. Shepherd's gone. Like, I was like, dog, like these. Off of this dude,
have nothing to do with it.
These had nothing. These dudes have families.
All these servants, everybody, just
gone because this dude. Because their boss is the best ever.
Exactly.
Hey man.
Like just cast away. Like these dudes have families, kids.
That's the
orphans,
adversary,
you got widows,
man.
which changes
Adam's spot.
The status, huh?
I said that's the adversary though. He took Adam's spot, right? Like this is his kingdom. Like I do what I want.
Dude, that dude changed generations. I mean, you went from having a wife and kids, now widows, like they falling down the rung. Now you're an orphan. Now you're like all this kind of like generations.
Because your boss was a good dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
it's counterintuitive almost, right? You'd think that would happen if your boss was a tyrant, but
it was like this is the best dude.
I'm working for God's dude. And you're just
your time is up. Bishop would say sometimes you just have to take that L.
Yeah, they just took a big L.
It's like
I hope they get some kind of reward afterwards. Sorry, we had to take you out of the game, but we take our whole
manage a couple planets into eternity or something.
We've lost generations of these families. Like none of them exist anymore. This dude got some sores.
Dang.
It's interesting to God's perspective on his responsibility here. When Satan comes back to him in chapter 2, and the Lord says to him in verse 3, have you considered my servant Job? There was no one on the earth like him. He's blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. And he still maintains his integrity, even though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason. Now, God didn't actually take any action here, except to give his blessing.
Yeah.
And he's taking responsibility for it. And I thought that was like, you incited me to take action against him.
Yeah.
So he is responsible for he at least appears here to be taking responsibility for.
Yeah, because if he said...
Yeah, because it's like he released... Yeah, he didn't protect. He released the hedge of protection around him. So he feels some level of, like, I didn't protect you from that thing. Yeah, that's how I look at it. Like, if I didn't release it, he couldn't have done it. So therefore, I take some level of responsibility for that.
He released it and he set the parameters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He set the parameters.
And it's like for him, for the devil, it's like everything is fair game. Like I will destroy this whole planet just to get at your faithfulness. Like I can wipe this whole thing clean.
But I'll
like that's all I want. Just for this.
Right? He's gonna purge. Yeah.
But imagine it's not even just one dude. Like now for us, Like he still got that same mindset. Like I will wipe this place clean. Like to get as many people as I can and not be faithful. All right, let's do it. Like I will destroy this whole thing to ashes if I have to.
Yeah.
And for many of us, you don't even have to, it's a cricket reference. So many of us, you don't even have to throw the ball. We just outing ourselves, hitting our wicket.
We just already.
He didn't even throw the ball, and we then hit it.
Half of us, he's like, I'm not even worried about them. Like, let them stay where they at. They gonna get. They gonna out themselves anyway.
Correct. Batman is saying, being the best of favorite has its advantages and disadvantages. Job experienced both.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm gonna stay on the advantage side if I could, please. Thanks.
I used to jokingly say, I say it jokingly, but there is truth to it. I always say, like, I don't want to be, don't be considering me, Jesus. Please, don't consider me. Don't be considering me, please. Don't trust me with that.
Intercessory prayer for your consideration.
Don't you do it.
So, Courtney, I'm taking away that upright and blameless is a commitment to a submissive posture, and to respond in a submissive manner to correction and instruction.
All right. Yeah, I will see that.
Doesn't that though? Isn't that freeing in itself though? Because now you focus more on the relationship, on your posture, things that are in your control, than trying to always be perfect and hoping things always go right and hoping nothing crazy comes your way. And it's like you don't even need to.
For sure.
Yeah.
Man, that's for me, man. For real.
But that then, almost makes that whole idea of faithfulness is enough. Like, for real, legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you can control.
So I'm going to go with my question. If Courtney, we good?
Yes, sir.
Unless Kendrick and Lorraine, let me ask. Y'all had anything in y'all come with any?
No, I mentioned a couple of mine during Courtney, so yeah, I'm good.
My question is coming out of Revelation chapter 21, verse 7. And I'm sorry, Kendrick, but I gave a question before you came on, and so everybody else had a chance to mull up it. You don't have to take it and then try to come up with an answer, because maybe they've been mulling on it, and maybe the conversation we had has guided them in some direction, or I don't know. Maybe there's some overlap here, but my question is, Revelation 21 verse 7 says, those who are victorious will inherit all of this, and I will be their God, and they will be my children. And I ask the question, what do you say to encourage a mature believer who feels like victory for them is elusive? How do you encourage them to stay the course? Because the way this seems to be written is that if you stay victorious and stay on course, and keep going, you got to stay the course to the end. But what do you say to the mature believers? Like, I don't know if I can make it, and I don't even know if I want to even continue trying, because I just did Jonathan Reynolds' song Cycles.
Mm-hmm.
How would you encourage somebody like that?
Are you the answer now? Oh, they answered?
No, they haven't answered. They just got the question in advance.
Oh, got you.
So this is a question also for all of you who are online. And if you're online, I would really like to hear perspectives and things like, you know somebody like that, what would you say to them? They came to you and said, yo, I don't know if I can hold on till the end. I'm tired and I don't feel like I can make, and I keep messing up. I keep fumbling the ball. And victory seems it's elusive to me. I don't know, and it's worth my time to try.
So first, what's victory though? Because in order for it to be elusive, like what does that look like? What does that victory look like? Just staying the course?
Good question. I was using victorious in the context of Revelation 21 here, making it to the end. And Revelation 21:7 is a play on Revelation 2 and 3, and the comments to the churches. Revelation 2:3, the church of Ephesus. Who has ears to hear, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who is victorious, I will give the right to live to eat from the tree of life. Be faithful even to the point of death, and I'll give you life as a victor's crown to the church in Smyrna. The one who is victorious will not be hurt by the second death. I guess the one who
Mm.
maturity, who stays the course to the end, the one who overcomes the, I don't know, the battle against self. I don't know. I mean, what? I'll be asking this question: how is John defining victorious here? What does victory mean? That's actually a good question. What is victory?
I think victory was everything that was mentioned in verses 1 through 6 of this chapter. I mean, that was it. The new heaven and the new earth is here. God's dwelling place is amongst His people. There's no more death, no more mourning, no more crying, no more pain. All the older things are passed away. He was sitting on the throne. He made everything new. And it is done. He's now, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning of the end, and the end. That was victory. There's nothing. Everything that I said is now finished.
Let's go on to verse 7, Kenrick, because he does this. He says, verse 7, those who are victorious will inherit all this, and I will be their God, and they will be my children.
Right.
The cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, those who are idolaters, liars, they'll all be consigned to the fiery lake of burning fire. This is the second death.
Yeah.
So I guess victory
those are
is
non-victorious.
not non-victorious.
Yeah,
So,
those are first losers.
There's faithfulness and not unfaithfulness. So I guess victory is staying faithful, staying in a posture of faithfulness, like Job.
Right. Because I was gonna say, if you're staying the course, you are already victorious, so it can't be elusive. Like if you are, it's not an end goal. Does that make sense? Like it's a process. Like you are remaining victorious as you stay connected and stay consistent. So it's not something that's out of reach. You are living it.
Right.
But those things that are listed are the rewards of you being victorious.
So perhaps, but I get the sense from the revelation, the letters to the churches, that the people were on a path and they are currently straying off the path, and the victory is being defined in making it to the end. Because I think and I say that because of one of my favorite verses, chapter 2, verse be faithful even to the point of death, and I'll give you life as your victor's crown. So it's almost like you have to make it to the end of the race, finish the race, so to speak, in order to be victorious.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think it's kind of piggybacking on I think there's the new lens is the context that was brought forth when we were having this conversation about Job, and it was I can't remember who mentioned it, but it was the difference between faithfulness and doing what's right and doing what's right. Right. And so like in your question, or like as you describe the person who was who would ask this question, there were two things. One, I thought Lorraine's, defining what victory is was really important. but also defining what it is that this person is saying that they are not able to do anymore, I think is also important. Because if it's doing what's right and doing all that, then there's probably a fail in all of that, right? And we've seen that consistently throughout. But I think the harping my takeaway, whatever, is the harping on the faithfulness, right? And harping on that faithfulness, and I think that faithfulness is what Jerry was talking about in the relationship. What is it that you and this guy are working out and working through? Because there's nothing that I can say about your journey. Like there's no magic, word that I can give you, because outside of faithfulness, because your journey is going to be different than everybody else's. I don't know what it is that he's trying to do with you. Right?
Gotcha. So I'll add this to the question then, and then I'll bring some comments in from the chat. Having defined faithfulness in the way Lauren helped us to do, so that we're all on the same page of faithfulness, is staying the course to the end. How do you encourage someone to stay the course? Or what encouragement do you give when they stay the course, when they feel like they're just not going to be able to, and so they almost feeling like this is too overwhelming, I might as well just tap out?
Rejoke.
You're being considered.
It's not come too far to give up now. I don't want to wave goodbye to you from the celestial walls. God has proven to you that He has been faithful, and the race is not given to the swift. I would assume is what we're finishing there.
Okay.
So, personally, I've had moments where I'm just tired. I'm tired of doing the right thing while looking around me, and there's this appearance of freedom and whatever on the opposite side, right? Like you're trying to stay the course. You're trying to remain faithful. And that verse where it says, "Don't be weary in doing well, for in due season you'll reap." It gets exhausting, at least for me. And I remember I had a moment where I was at the place where I was like, man, like, what's the point? Like, it just doesn't even, like, what is the point? And a friend of mine said, the fact that you are even, because I was worried I was in a space where I had given up. And she said, the fact that you are still thinking about it and you're still concerned about your walk with God, just keep holding on to that. Because it's like the moment you just give up and like, oh, I'm failing too much. I'm a hot mess. I'm just gonna be done. Like, God, Lord, just give up on me and move to the next guy. She was like, don't get to that space. Just keep remembering why you're doing what you're doing. Keep remembering the relationships and just hold on as tight as you can to that and not feel defeated, because seeing the world around you can make you feel like, what's the point? Like, why am I even doing this? But that conversation told me, like, just the fact that I'm still having those questions, I have not fully given up.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, okay. I receive that. If I'm starting to have those questions, then. If those questions are starting to fade now, and you run into me, and those questions are fewer and far between, lesser and lesser. What encouragement?
To me, that's a scary place. It's a scary place.
What encouragement do you offer me at that point?
I'll be honest with you.
Cliff says that's an honest and true feeling, Lorraine. I mean, sorry, did I say Cliff? That's not Cliff. Batman says that's why God has come too soon, because we are all headed to that feeling. Has to come soon because we're all headed to that feeling.
I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna leave some room for Jerry and Courtney. I don't know what I would say. I don't I don't everything that I think that I would say without being in that situation and being able to, I think I mean, it would literally have to be the Holy Spirit providing me exactly what that person needs at that particular time, because I don't think I can say anything that provides any comfort or inspiration outside that, because you can go through, right, the Bible and start, but it really, the person probably has heard all of that. I think it truly has to come from the comforter, and I don't think I have that without that. I don't have an answer without that.
About you,
But
Jerry?
I think something.
Go ahead, Lori.
No. I was just saying. I think sometimes, even though you know something, sometimes you just need reminders, right? So even if you've heard it, when you're in that low space, you may not even remember that you know these things. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get to that space, you're not thinking, even though you've heard it without, like all of that's gone. You're in a space where you can't even remember that you know that God loves you. You remember that God is with, like you don't remember those things when you're in that space. So even a simple thing, and I agree, it takes the Holy Spirit telling you what to say to that person. I wouldn't know in advance, like, okay, this is exactly what I would say. But sometimes, at least for me, the reminder is uplifting. So even though I know XYZ, somebody saying the thing that I do already know, it's like, Lorraine, but you know this. Just hold on to that. That helps me personally to get, like, it's a quicksand and it's like it gave me a little flat surface, kind of get that leg up. It's like, okay, I can break for a moment, and it helps you to get out.
That was a comment from Batman responding to you, Kenrick, saying facts. Jerry, look like you're ready to join us in that part of the conversation.
I have to lean on what Kenrick said, and I think yes, it's about the Spirit guiding you, but I think situations like that is where transparency, even vulnerability, I think are important, because if you come, just Bible thumping, quoting verses, and people can't sense empathy or realness, or you can't even share experiences you might have had with that, then, because that truth and vulnerability is, in my mind, how iron sharpens iron, right? It's not just an academic thing. It's not just a theological thing. I could sit and have a conversation about Kenrick, and Kenrick might be like, look, man, a year ago, blah, 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 blah. And that in itself helps me adjust and shift my perspective, right? So you just have to be open to the Spirit, and you have to be willing to be vulnerable, transparent, and empathetic. It can't just be like, oh yeah, just let's go listen to some, what is that, Franklin? The storm is over now, and you'll be good to go. Nah. Might take something more than that, yeah. Because what's scary, I saw, I'm sure you guys have all seen Twitch has committed suicide, and it's like somebody reposted a video he posted like an hour before or something, where he's like happily dancing and stuff, and the kids are there, and it's like, so there's no, how do you go from that in 1 hour to?
Wait, that's kind of where a question is coming from, because it's like I'm tired now. I don't know. I don't know if I want to make it to victory because of what it's been, the toll it's taking on me.
It's like bankrupt, right? You hit rock bottom, and it's like evidently there aren't people who There was somebody else who shared a situation where they're like these 4 or 5 guys. I think it's a movie. I don't remember the name of it, but one of them committed suicide, and they were talking about how much time they spent together. They always had the games together, the football games, whatever, everything, right? And it's like, how do you not know? But it speaks to how we communicate sometimes, right? Where it's all transient, superficial, and everybody's laughing and good, and yeah, but there's no real connection, right? And it's one thing to be depressed, lonely, frustrated, feeling like you can't make it. But when you feel that way and there's nothing and no one to connect to, yeah, I think that's where the hopelessness sets in, and then yeah.
My man says, you say go for it and let me know how that works for you because I know you're going to bust hell wide open.
Hell, the hell? Okay.
My gosh.
Yeah.
All right, let me
I think what
Go ahead.
I think what Jerome just said though is really big. Like the vulnerability and transparency, because when you get in those spaces, you feel like you are the only solitary person that feels like it's elusive.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can't communicate with each other throughout our journey and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, like it makes, I guess it's having a safe space where you can communicate with your friends or whoever, sharing like, hey, I've been there. I'm currently there. I just look like I'm not there, like I'm currently experiencing what you're experiencing. Like that gives hope because you're like, oh my gosh, I thought it was just me. I thought I was the only one going straight to hell. And it's just like, I'm just totally sucking at this Christian walk. Like I'm horrible. Like the amount of mistakes I've made, the amount of times God has to correct this thing. Like we still on level 2 and I should be at level 7. You know what I mean? Like we make these and it's like, no, like I'm there with you. Like I look like I got it all together, but I do not. I'm just like you. And I feel like we have this, like Jerome was saying, like we have this pious, like, oh, if you just A, B, C, D, it was just all. And it's like, no, but I need you to tell me that you've been there. I need you to be honest and say, I'm currently there. I've been there, or, and if you don't have I can't see anybody who couldn't relate to that elusiveness though. So anybody who says, oh, well, I don't know what, okay. I feel like just being transparent and vulnerable is a big, big thing. It gives you hope and it gives you, it just lifts you up a little bit.
I don't think I've ever felt that elusiveness. Sorry to bust your thing.
No, go ahead.
I don't think I've ever felt.
You don't depart from evil. So
was that again?
You also just said you don't depart from evil. So
yeah, but I guess it's I guess my whole thing is like I don't look to it, but my whole thing is like personally, I always take a big picture look at things, right? And it's always been that, right? My Christian walk, I liken it to my marriage. I like it's nothing is perfect. You mature in this. The thing I dealt with year 1, I may deal with year 5. If I'm maturing, I won't deal with year 10, but I'm dealing with something else. And it's, and we'll be 50 years married and we're still going to be dealing with something. Like I always take that perspective, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but for me, I've never gotten into like, it feels elusive because it's just all part of the process. Like it is what it is. And so, I don't see where I'm just like, man, I'm never gonna get there. And we're like, no, it's just it's part of the process. Today I need them. Tomorrow I'm gonna need them again, and
Yeah.
the next day I'm gonna need them again, and you're never gonna perfect it. So let's not look at perfection and trying to get there, and let's just
Right.
actually let's focus on the day to day submissiveness relationship. Today being faithful tonight, and waking up and being faithful again tomorrow. Like, and so for me, that's how so I never get to it feels elusive. It's just the process.
And I think that's why I said the victory, I can't see it as an end goal, right? It's like a process. Like the fact that I'm trying again, the fact that I know that tomorrow it'll be a new thing. Like the fact that I'm constantly recalibrating is me being victorious.
Correct.
Because if I look at it as an end thing, I feel like that leaves you hopeless. Because it will always seem to be out of reach. That perfection always seems to be just like I was just so close. I was almost there, and then now I'm going to hell. Like it's like no, like it's a process. Like just recalibrate. Like you notice it, recalibrate as many times as you need to recalibrate.
Recalculating.
Right.
Recalculating.
Yeah, like because you're going to get off track. You're going to miss the mark sometimes. But recalibrate. Like that is you being victorious.
Yeah.
Keep recalibrating.
And
Man.
it's just the process. And it's
Mhm.
and it's and I think the end of chapter 1 in Job is where, Job was like, I came in this world with nothing. He gave me all this, and if he takes it away, like there's not like there are only so many things you can
The
control.
book is like 30 something chapters long, so he changes postures.
Correct, but that sums life up, right? And,
Right.
And in that whole in those 3 lines or 2 lines or whatever it was, it's literally like the summation is there's nothing you can control. And like there's nothing you can do. We were having a conversation with Addison, and she was frustrated about something. And I was like, no, absolutely. You can like make sure you do all of that, and then make sure you give yourself breath tomorrow while you're working all that out. And she was like, huh? And I'm just like, there's only so much. You can't control it. Like you do what you can do. You control what you can control. You give it to God, and that's it.
Man,
And it's really
interesting.
I agree, man. I think that Kenrick, if he was someone that you go to, what he said from his experience, that's something that could help somebody. Like when they're actually going through it, they're like, okay, that's just how you
like bump you, dude. Get out of here.
But it's like this is a way to deal with it, because sometimes people just don't know how to get out of it. Period. You know what I mean? So I think and I see the White Knight said the same thing about community. That is important, sharing. In Job's case, his boys were kind of telling him other things. So, it depends. But it's helpful. It's helpful.
No, I think he just had to change the community he was in, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
His wife too.
It's like how many times have we felt like we were the only person dealing with something, we're the only person who has the stress on work or in your marriage or raising your kids, and they talk in your eyes, oh, this is not, I'm not that unique or that special. And if these people have gone through it and they've solved it and they've found ways to cope, then I can too, right? That's why,
Dang, you brought Sharika to the joint.
Yeah, anything you're struggling with, it's like, that's why they usually have these kind of peer groups, right? From like Alcoholics Anonymous to whatever, because you need to understand, regardless of what your idea of rock bottom is, you're not alone. I think even that's why Jesus said he was tempted in all points, like as we are, not necessarily the same things, but whatever point or place you think you can find yourself, he was there. So you're never alone. You're not the only one that
Yeah.
this has ever happened to, right? So
I mean, it's interesting, man, because like, all right, for instance, in like Luke 9, right, in Luke 9, verse 23, and it's just talking about denying ourselves, right? Forgetting oneself, losing sight of oneself, one's own interest. And I mean, I think that has to do a lot with the emotions of everything, like what were we talking about? And in some aspects, maybe even what's going on with you, like physically, like the embodiment of whatever pain that you're in. And that choice, like we talked about, the choice is again with Job. Like, are you still going to be faithful? Are you still going to be obedient in whatever that instruction that was given to you, despite how you feel, emotionally or physically?
I
Because I
like
keep
that,
saying,
Courtney.
why do you keep saying deny yourself? Like, why? In what way? That means like not to dwell on that or cause that to be um your reaction going to
That
be
was Luke what? That was
on
Luke what again?
Luke 9, verse 23.
Sorry, go ahead.
What was God was saying? Jesus was saying, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it. Um, so I just thought that was in line with other things that even Paul was talking about, uh, like in Thessalonians and so forth. You know, all these talks about holding on. Those are the things that we're going to be battling with ourselves, like those emotions, because I think essentially that's what we're going to be fighting with. I feel like I'm already reached the edge. I can't go anymore, so forth and so on. Like, then those feelings again. I'm the only one that is going through this. No one else understands this situation. Like,
Mhm.
feeling, because I understand this time I've been going through things in my past where even if someone told me, "Hey, I've been through there, I've been through this," so I'm like, and I'm still like, "Nah, it's not the same."
It ain't the same.
But I guess the thing is,
Nah.
like, one of the questions I ask I ask myself constantly, like, if is like, why not you?
Mm.
Like like to your point, like, to the thing, like, why do you think you're so special? Like, why
Right,
not you?
but that's
Right?
always my argument.
Like,
I am not
you
that
can't,
special,
like,
right?
right.
huh?
I said that's usually my argument. I am not really that special. So good can come, bad can come, and it's not unique to me. It's not like, the universe, the enemy, God has just singled me out. If
Right.
I feel like worst case, at least there was Job, where God picked him and is like, this dude, right? So even if that is exactly what's happening to me, then guess what? I'm second. You never
Correct.
went first, nothing new under the sun, right?
Right.
But that I think that idea of aloneness and being like unique, this is you're the only. That is how I think the devil gets us into sin, into depression, into any number of things. Because it's like, nah, man, you don't know how I have it. It's just
Yeah, I mean,
You guys make me think of a verse. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13. I remember Pastor Wright saying it in a sermon one time. And the way he referenced it was profound, which is why I remember where it was taken from. 1 Corinthians 10:13. He says, no temptation has overcome you or overtaken you except what is common to man. So as you guys are saying, you're not special. And God is faithful. He'll not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so you can endure it. So, uh, so I was just saying that this verse affirms some of the things you guys have been saying about not being alone. Not your situation is not unique, and the value of helping someone in that position to be reminded of that fact. And the next verse that comes to mind is Revelation 12. Um, Revelation 12:17, I think it is. Which is 12:11, which says, those people who were victorious, they triumphed over the enemy, and they were victorious over the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. To me, that's also what I think I'm hearing you say. Like there's power in the testimony of others, in the sharing of experiences, in the communication of you're not alone in this. I've also, or I know someone, or I can put you in contact with someone who who who's been where you are. And here's how I overcame, or here's what they did to overcome, so that you're equipped with, strategies to overcome, or an encouragement to keep going. Um, I do like Kenrick's idea of, I don't know that there's much that you can say, particularly to a mature believer. Cannot believe the Spirit to guide there, but there's some powerful ideas in the scripture here that suggest that at least there's a space to come out from, even if you don't have the right things to say. And and the first part of this, they try and win by the blood of the Lamb, reminds me of Satan's argument. Does he fear God for nothing?
Does he what?
Does he fear
Or
God
does
for
he fear
nothing?
God for, yeah.
Is the question that the devil asked and tried to demonstrate that Job's faithfulness was contingent on his comfort and his circumstance. And this blood of the Lamb thing kind of almost asked the question, why were you being faithful? And how much do you value what Jesus has done for you? And how much does that inform your faithfulness? And does it inform your faithfulness? Or what's at the root of that? Because the reason they triumphed is that they valued this sacrifice. This sacrifice is what kept them faithful, is what led them to victory. It's the valuing of it. And so I think,
yeah, I was going to ask, that was one of the questions I wrote down is, based upon that question that you asked, like, so what is the actual goal here? Like, what's the objective, right? Is your objective, and a lot of people frame it within, even from a spiritual standpoint, within finance and health, right? What's the goal? Is it for you to be financially, where you don't have to worry about anything, or for you to be healthy and not have to work? Like, what is the goal? Because if that's going to make us comfortable, right, then we're not on the same wavelength that God is on, right? So to your point, their objective was completely different, right? It was much more of a long-term spiritual objective, that objective where it was between them and God, and it was about, and ultimately is about faithfulness. And that faithfulness, to the earlier point that was made, about Job, is that God didn't take him out the situation for him to understand it. He was still in it. But now that he's in it and he understands what true faithfulness is, and he's able to not only understand it, but then act in that situation on that, then now it's changing. And if he never leaves a situation, he's faithful in that situation. And I remember, you look at that and you talk about all the stuff, over 8 years, about your mom. Like, it's all these different things that go on, and it's how you react in the situation. And that's the objective. All the other stuff, in my opinion, is for me to pacify myself, right, while I'm here. I don't want it to hurt. I want it to be painless. I want to go about my way, and so my objective isn't aligned. And so he has to realign me.
What about
Go ahead, Courtney.
I was just gonna say, or just to add, what about Job chapter 19, verses 25 through 27?
Job 19, what?
Chapter 19, verses 25 through 27.
Sorry, you can read it.
All right. So he says, I know that my Redeemer lives and that in the end he will stand on the earth. And after my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh I will see God. I myself will see him with my own eyes, I and not another, how my heart yearns within me.
Yeah, I think that Courtney, go ahead. Are you gonna say
No,
something?
go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were just reading the verse.
Yeah, that was it. I'm just throwing that in the pot.
Yeah, it to me it aligns with the blood of the lamb and the why question. Like, what's your why? And as Kenrick kind of pointed out, when God shows up in the thing, it almost like it reaffirmed and reminded him of his why, that his friend's commentary had caused him to forget.
Yeah.
He's like, well, dude, he's just God, so I'm gonna just trust him. Like, it was almost like that's what the position that because he is, and to be fair, that's what that's the root of agape, right? It's active concern for the thing, the object of your concern, because of its perceived intrinsic value. So, I mean, he's God and he loves me and he cares for me and he wants this for me and I care about what he wants. I mean, it's to me, it sounds like where we're landing is it's remembering that in community, and sharing those experiences and strategies to stay in the race with each other. That's what it sounds like we're saying.
Yeah.
It's interesting you said community, because even in this conversation, you've seen the development of the idea, right? Which came through conversation and like talking it out and dealing with it. And so that's probably, the part of the process.
If you have the right people, because as the story of Job says, a conversation could lead you
That's very true.
in the complete opposite direction.
Them wives, dog. They will.
And the friends were well intentioned, like they meant well.
Yeah.
They were trying to help.
And they were using, like, I guess they were using the theology of the day too. Like, the joint made sense.
Because the feeling was always, if something is happening to you, then it's, you've asked for it. It's some unforgiven sin or hidden sin of yourself or your parents. So it's like,
yeah, it made sense based upon the theology of the day.
And we had the privilege of seeing the backstory. They never got to see the backstory.
Very true. Absolutely.
So they could have left that situation like, yeah, Job messed up somewhere. I don't know where, but he messed up somewhere.
Oh, they did. They brought all the smoke to them. It was like his wife.
Okay.
Yo.
Have you ever had to encourage yourself to stay in the race, and what did you say? Or what message came to you and encouraged you to stay in the race one more day? What was that? You had to.
So for me, I tend to look, my brain is wired to look far out. Like I'm looking at all the possibilities and I have zero control, but my brain for some reason always looks What has helped me was something somebody said to me when I was going through a really hard time. They said 1 day at a time. And I took it even smaller to one moment at a time because I'm not going to always get it right. I'm not going to always tick all the boxes, check all the whatevers. Like, I am bound to fail. So, like, it's just, it's been my track record. It's been the humanity's track record. Like, it's bound to happen. But each moment, like I mentioned, recalibrate, because that's literally what I say to myself. Like, recalibrate. Like, okay, you didn't do this situation. Okay, next one, do better next time. Do, and I just keep recalculating route. Like, literally, that's what I do mentally. Like, because if I look too far out, I will stop. I would just put it down. Like, all right, I don't see me getting to the end. But if I focus on the moment, focus on his instructions, focus on what he's wanting me to do in the moment, that's just one small win, or sometimes loss. But
listen to that Bobby Brown. Play that Bobby Brown when you get stuck. Every little step I take.
Yeah, and it's just finishing the race. Like, just remember, it's cumulative steps. Like, you're not gonna get from point A to the end without making those small steps. So I just try to bring my brain back to here, right now. Focus on that.
Got you.
I think sometimes God even, I don't want to say forces your hand, but he only reveals the next step to kind of keep you in check. Because if you start looking back too far forward, you're just going to trip up.
Yep. Yep.
As a matter of fact, it blows my mind. You wouldn't even talk to me. Like, it's just...
Good point. I give it too much. You just run within me like, all right, I have it from here.
There's a thought that even occurred to me where sometimes it's like do you ever think it's not just that he only shows you the next step, but it's like he gives you what he's showing you may not be the end, but it's enough to give you hope for you to keep going. Because I've been in situations where you might be frustrated, destitute, down on your luck, whatever, and God shows you something and you latch onto it and you think, okay, yeah, I can make it, whatnot. And then, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the line, you realize, oh, this wasn't it. But this was just to give you enough hope to, and somebody asked me, so is it like, is God hoodwinking you? Is he like doing a switcheroo on you?
He's just giving you encouragement to keep going, right?
And he just knows, and he knows who you are. He knows what to give you.
He knows how to motivate
give somebody
you.
else something different.
But it comes back to that same posture of humility, right? Because even at the time when you realize, oh, this isn't it, you still now have to accept that he does know what's best and keep trusting regardless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just the shepherds. You're just Job's shepherds, man. You're just catching it just because you're one of the shepherds. Like,
yeah,
Bishop nothing to do with you. This is.
And you will never know why. You will minding your business. It's just cheap and then wow.
You can't. I refuse to try to figure it out.
All right, let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Is there room to take a break?
Take a break from whatever it is you're
right
from the race.
Oh shoot!
You can physically go sleep, but I don't know that you can take a. I don't know.
I'm trying to. I don't think you can.
We all take breaks though.
Like when you're doing the car racing,
Yeah,
Grand
flat,
Prix,
flat.
where you come off the track for a while and you take
Mhm.
a pit stop and then you get back in the race. Can we do that in this race? Come off the track for a
But
bit
you're
and say, I'm
but you're still in the race
join the race
though.
later.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
come back.
the race didn't stop.
Yeah, but say you're still in the race though.
When you take a pit, like you're getting
Yeah.
refilled, right?
Yeah.
There might be a
Mhm.
problem.
Yeah.
You might
Mhm.
have to do a 4 tire change. You might just need
Yeah.
2 tires.
Mhm.
It depends on where you are.
Mhm.
Like, I mean,
Got
Mhm.
gas up.
yeah, it's just all you got to fix a fender. Like,
That's
it just
that's
depends
you.
on. I don't think, you know, and I guess it's our race, but um, I don't
Yeah,
know.
man.
I mean, I think it depends on it. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
what is
man.
what
Sometimes
if
you need a
what
pep
if you're
talk,
battling cancer?
Ricky
What if you're
Bobby.
battling cancer?
Cool.
Like, what break you're taking? Like, what
Well, so when you said break, I was thinking like a SOS. Like I can't do this. Like, and I that's what we talked about community. It's important to have people of like mindedness in your circle, your inner circle, so that when you get to a place where you're like, I cannot push any further, that you have these people that will circle around you and pray strength into you, renewed strength into you. And so even though you're breaking, you're being covered, right? And then you come out of that, and you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought I would have gotten out of it. And I'm speaking from experience. I never thought I would have gotten out of that. Like I thought I was done. But it's important to communicate that to your having and that inner circle. It's important to communicate that because then they can, yeah.
I'm with it.
come unto me, and I will give you rest. I guess I don't know. I don't. I just. I don't. I don't think you break. I don't.
I love all the things. Can you break?
I don't
Can
think.
you break on
I
that
don't.
race? Like,
I don't think you. I don't think you break. I think to Lorraine's point. I think there are. In my head. It's it's the marathon, right? You don't see people breaking in the marathon. The pace may slow. You may go to a walk for a while. You
Mm-hmm.
may, as you grab the water, you may slow down a little bit. Um, it's like progress is not necessary. I was having this conversation with Addison yesterday. Progress isn't
yeah. So let's use the marathon example, Kenrick.
so progress
Can
is
I take
but
a 10
progress is
minute?
not
Can I sit
progress
for
is just
10 minutes
progress
in
could
the
be
marathon? I just go and sit.
be running at a 7 minute pace, a 5 minute mile pace, or it could be a 2 hour a mile walk pace. Like it just like it's progress, right? And so I think if you stop, you're done. I don't think right?
And have you seen that clip? There was like that clip where it was literally a race and the guy couldn't make it any further. And I think it was his father saw him like literally like barely making it and he
Mm-hmm.
came under him and picked him up and they both like kept going. Like he was moving much slower, but the crowd, just the fact that he was still, he might have been going fast like has been going. He may not have been, but the fact that he kept going and the crowd, and I imagine that as angels, right? They're watching us trying to get through this thing, and they're like, "Bro, like, come on, you got this. Like, you got this is the last leg of the race. This is the last leg. I know you feel like you're failing right now, but you on the last leg. Just keep going. Just keep going." And once again, we talk about community. It's so very important to have each other and help each other through this race because we're not meant to do this. Yes, it's everyone's individual walk, but we're not meant to go through this race by ourselves.
Right.
Like, we are in this together going. And if you see somebody falling or they look real tired or they look dehydrated, like, give them water, give them, water for the thirsty. I mean,
But to the question though, that dude laying there is not him finishing the race.
Yeah. Okay.
If he stays down, Donnie, he's not finishing the race. And so to your earlier point, which I think is very fitting when you talked about the Father, like, that is the community. That's the encouraging words. That's all those different things that'll pick you up, right? And if he's collapsing, that's not a voluntary rest. Like that
yes, exactly.
There was nothing else to give, and then the words of encouragement, the community, the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, like all of that comes in to pick you up, to carry you on, and maybe that carrying you on, the next mile gives you the ability to kind of recuperate a little bit, and then maybe you go into a light walk or a jog on your own. Like, it's just to continue the race.
Yeah, we're supposed to bear each other's burdens. Like, we're supposed to, when the other person can't carry it, we
Can you quit the race and rejoin it?
happens all the time. That's all the time.
I don't know.
I don't know if you can
think
quit.
Even if you quit, you quit. You forfeit, right? I don't know.
You can stop.
Take a detour.
You can take a detour.
Halfway through, you just decide I'm not running anymore. I'm gonna just sit right here, and then you change your mind and decide I'm not finished.
Yeah,
I guess people do it. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
But I don't know if that.
I said not this race, a race, like in general. Could you do that?
Oh,
I guess you can quit.
No, you would automatically disqualify yourself, wouldn't you? By quitting?
Like, if you quit and didn't leave the course. If you
you quit and sat on the sideline.
If you quit and just sat in the middle of the road.
On the lane. It's not on the lane.
Yeah. And by that, if you're still in the race, I don't know if you quit.
That's a break.
So, I mean, I don't know. Philosophical judgment, man. This dude.
You just need some water. Oh, man.
I know enough people feel like I don't want to do this anymore.
But wasn't that Jesus' experience in the Garden of Gethsemane? He's like, yo, I think I'm good.
Yo, I'd be good.
Yeah. He's
That's
like,
a tall task. There are a lot of ways to die.
Yeah.
You want me to die? I'm cool. You want me to die like that?
Yeah.
Like,
we're back to remembering your why.
Yeah.
Because in Job's case it was, you got it, you right, you know what you're doing, I'm gonna trust you, I'm gonna fall back, I'm gonna know my place. And Jesus was almost the same thing, but slightly different. Yet not your will, but my will.
what's that?
Yet not my will, but thy will be done. So you even have Jesus remembering, well, why am I doing this? Because what he wants is important to me. Why is it important to me? In Jesus' case, because of the nature of the relationship. I think that was also true for Job as well. And so I guess it becomes a matter of, if we are in that place or encountering someone who's in that place, we help them with that, or push them in that direction, or at least nudge them with those thoughts, as led by the Holy Spirit, of course, because the Holy Spirit may say, you don't say nothing today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think those are the principles that then can be applied to whatever it is that their specific situation is. I mean, I think that's a general principle we should all I mean, that's essentially what it comes down to.
No.
Are you good?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I was curious as to how you guys would answer that question. I've been wrestling with. So Amandisa sings a song. I think it's called "Unfinished," where she talks about always being the person who does the encouraging, and then knows what it's like when the encouraging words don't work anymore. And you kind of have to figure your own way through it. So as she was saying that, and I was thinking about Victoria's hair, I was just wondering, on the days when you don't feel like keeping on, as MC Light would say, what do you do to stay the course? And is there anything anybody can say to you to help you stay the course? Is there anything we can say to each other to help us all keep pressing forward? And what would that be? What would I need to hear? So yeah, I was just wondering about that and was interested in hearing your thoughts on it. I'll give my takeaway. It's important to know your why. Why were you here in the first place? And how important is him being God and what he's done for you in your decision to be faithful? Like why is faithfulness a consideration for you? I think wrestling out that answer is key, because if you don't have that locked in, then does Job fear God for nothing? Why does Job fear God? Why do I fear God? Why is faithfulness a consideration for me? That's my takeaway. And I guess that would be the answer to my question. I would ask the person that. Why is victory a consideration for you? Why were you here in the first place? And as Kenrick said, if whatever answer you come up with, then today, just do it today. just worry about today. Be in this moment, as Lorraine said. Put that why and let tomorrow worry about itself. That'll be my thought. Lorraine? Oh, sorry, I did mute you.
Okay. When we were reading Revelations 12, where it says, "And they have defeated him by the blood of the Lamb and by their testimony." I'm going to do a play on the words here. The second part, that they did not love their lives and their reputation so much that they were afraid to die to the perceptions other people have of them. Right? I feel like we live in this space where we want validation from other people, and I'm not saying everybody, but that's like the culture right now, where we're so focused on painting the nice picture, the good picture, the I have it all together picture, and it's like, but we don't have it together. And therefore, I feel like when we paint these pictures, we are actually doing a disservice to other people, because yes, watching other people's life shouldn't impact how you view your life, but it does for some people. So when you give this appearance that you have no flaws, you have no whatever, and you're so stuck on my reputation, my status, my whatever, that you're not willing to say, hey, I've got problems. Like, I'm struggling, I'm having issues. You know, people will look at you like, oh, they have no problems. They got it all together. Them and Jesus is like this. Like, they don't question nothing. Like, they're ride or die for God. And it's like, nah, I've had my moments where I didn't know if I was gonna make it. Like, and I feel like it's important that testimony. And I'm not saying tell all your stuff every single time in every single space, but if God moves you to share where you are at, really at, or whether it be verbally, a post or whatever, share where you're at, share the part of the race that you're in right now. Okay, I'm on my break right now. I'm being covered by 2 or 3 that's gathered. You know what I mean? Like, I'm this is where I'm at. And I feel like when we see these things, the more we see the humanity and the frailty and the fact that we don't have it together, I think that gives hope even for those who are like, I don't need to see anybody's situation. Like, no, it does, because it makes you realize we're all nobody here has it all figured out. Not the pastor, not the deacon, not the this, not the person judging other people. They don't have it all figured out. And I feel like it's just very important for us to be authentic and transparent sometimes, to share, hey, I don't have it all figured out.
I will affirm that and say, according to the scriptures, that's how they overcame. So that's how that's what leads to victory. So I will affirm that and say amen. How about you, Jerry?
I think I have 2. One definitely is the need to be consistent in that posture of humility and submission. For sure, for sure, for sure. Second one is just kind of thinking about how, I guess, almost the opposite of that is pride, but I don't know that I really see pride as I see pride more of a symptom of like insecurity or something, rather than just a thing in and of itself. So if you don't understand who you are, etc., you're going to manifest that by trying to take pride in things or achievement or in to make yourself feel good, right? But it's not. It's
If you think too highly of yourself,
or if you
think too highly of yourself.
But even most of the people who come across as being very arrogant and thinking it's because they're deeply insecure, right? And it's almost like it's a
No, some of them just copy.
so
Somebody was just
yeah. Some
Is this not the great Babylon I have built?
Have
Some
built,
of them
yeah.
for themselves.
yeah, there was no insecurity there.
Yeah, that's just him being there. But it's like, even in situations like that, that need for transparency, vulnerability with God, with yourself, because God can't fix what you don't confess, right? So if you come to God this way, like, nah, I'm good, and then even in discussions with your fellow man, it's always like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't have that. It kind of comes across like the Pharisee, right? I thank God I'm not a Gentile or a woman. If you can't be honest and be with God and with yourself, then you can't be that way with anybody else. And you just need to put the insecurity, the pride, the whatever aside and be that way with God, with yourself, and it will follow that you'll be that way with others.
How about you, Courtney?
Man, twofold. Getting our conversation about Job, I think I'm gonna just keep thinking on that conclusion on, a way to notice that, your posture. I
thought that was really dope to say, your reaction to corrective instruction or your response to instruction, period, as an indicator. And I guess secondly, just to finish the race, I think it's something that, again, like we were talking about, this is a thing that we're doing daily, making progress daily on. We just can't, maybe not get too far ahead of ourselves. Just try to finish today.
Gotcha.
And go from there.
Derek,
Yo, be faithful, man. That's it.
that's it. I would add
Not right.
a second one for me. Where there's life, there's hope. As long as you're alive, you're not out of the race.
Yep.
Where there's life, there's hope. All right, word. About 6 minutes over, but that's good. We made good time.
That's not bad.
Yeah, thank you everyone who stuck around to hang out with us, join the conversation. Thank you to the the Light Knight, Batman the Light, for all your contributions today. Much appreciated. Next time, I guess I see you guys in the new year, in this format.
Yes, sir.
You guys in this format is in the new year, and so wishing you all a complimentary season and all of that stuff, and all the best for the new year, and that next year you're energized and rejuvenated, and to be faithful and faithful unto death, faithful to the end.
Any takeaways from the group, from the online?
No, nobody chatted. Any takeaways? All right, so then we can just pray and close out. I'll pray. Father, thank you for your spirit, who leads us and guides us into truth, and serves us as a comforter, who guides us on where to be, where not to be, what to do, what not to do, and who reminds us of the word that's hidden in our hearts, your word that's hidden in our hearts. Help us to give us the courage, give us the strength to stay faithful, to stay the course, and to hold the hands of those who are joining with us, so that we can all finish strong and finish together. Thank you for this group, for their faithfulness in serving and being a part of these conversations. Continue to bless their families and their homes and everything that they put their hands on, so that they could continue to be a light wherever they are, representing you and influencing the spaces that they're in to greater levels of faithfulness. With our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Remember,
All right. So I guess till next year.
drink up.
Drink up. And we'll see you.
Peace.